Join us for the scoreboard. We'll look at the highlights of what happened. Now, we know that the Mashemeji derby took place over the weekend, and the result might not have been exactly what was needed, but it seems like it was the peaceful option at that time, and that's what we will be looking at in one moment. There is still, again, talk of fixing, this time not in athletics, but also in matches in football. And again, it's getting out of hand. It's rearing its ugly head as owners of clubs complain of match fixing. We'll take a look at that as well. The Djokovic has equaled Rafael Nadal's slam record. Now, that is another thing we'll be talking about. Plus, of course, there are a couple of things that are happening around the country that will make up part of the program today. I'm Bernardo Tieno. I am at Bernard_Sport. I am in the company of Ken Chege, who's at KChege_Sport. And I am also in the company of Wilfred Bungei, who always has to remind me of his Twitter handle. We'll come to that in one moment, but let's talk to them then. Here is the cool kid, Ken Chege.
Hi, Bernard.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. And how are you?
You look very good. You look a little bit timid. What's going on?
I'm not timid.
Are you sure you're not going to say something that you're not supposed to?
No, I'm relaxed.
Great, great. What worked for you during the week?
So this week, I was following a story that's brewing in Germany. There's this footballer called Sebastian Haller.
Yes.
Sebastian Haller moved to Borussia Dortmund last year, July. He was previously playing for Ajax of Amsterdam, had scored 34 goals in that season. And when he went on the training camp with the Borussia Dortmund, he felt unwell. Okay. And he went and he was discovered to have testicular cancer.
All right.
Well, he's gone through the process. He went through chemo. He lost his hair. He's back now. He started playing again.
Is he okay?
That is my story of resilience. He's free.
He's cancer-free now.
Oh, he's cancer.
That's
he's
a good
also
story.
plays for Ivory
There's
Coast.
also a story about some discovery of how you can avoid cancer, but everybody was seemingly not talking about it. Something about the heel. I don't know if you saw it. No, I'll tell you. Well, we'll talk about that in our health stories.
Yes,
here is Capitano, Wilfred Bungei, former 800 meters champion. What worked for you, Capitano, during the week?
It is interesting, Bernard, that what worked for Ken is an inspiring story, just like me. What worked for me is Sam Atkins, a British athlete, that he was able to break a world record last Friday for indoors. The interesting part is that, at the age of 18, he was told that he can no longer run because he was having a disease, on the foot, which is called Freiberg. And for him, he knew that he was no longer going to run. But surprisingly, he didn't allow whatever he was advised by the doctor to take him back.
All right.
And that is why it's an inspiring story. That it's not always that you have to be told, your life is ending and you believe it is ending. Yeah.
I know. Okay, those are nice, inspiring stories. What worked for me was the fact that there was the Mashemeji derby. That's Gor Mahia versus AFC Leopards, but not necessarily the fixture. But the person who was in charge of the fixture was a lady, and her name is Walukisho Josephine. She took charge of the match. I haven't had any complaints about officiating. The game ended in a 0-0 draw. I didn't hear anything about anything in the game. Nothing. So that really worked for me. Let's get down into this Mashemeji derby as well. It's been a fixture that has been on for years, probably since 1968, that these two teams have met. They FC Leopards apparently has the bragging rights over the derby, although Gor Mahia has won more titles. Let's talk about that as well. It's always the biggest fixture on the calendar, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Bernard. I like what you say, that AFC has the bragging rights
when it comes to the derby.
Yeah.
Not the titles,
not
but
the
derby.
Titles, yes. But I just remind you, this is the 6th time in 6 matches AFC hasn't managed to score against Gor Mahia. It is also the 4th time in those 6 matches the score has ended 0-0. Okay, goalless.
We always say that. Yes.
But that aside, what really impressed me was that crowds are back to football.
The turnout was excellent. They made over 3 million. Well, the first time they're also revealing how much they made. They made over 3 million shillings. Capitano, what do you think about that?
Yeah, actually, as you put it, and I'm happy that you say that, this is a clash of the titans in football in this country. And
absolutely.
You mentioned that they started way back in 1968.
Yes.
And I think for me, what is so inspiring, especially for football and especially for AFC and Gor, is that every now and then when they meet, you know, there's always a huge crowd. You know, there's always a lot of enthusiasm, which it brings what football is all about. Because,
absolutely,
you know, most of the viewers, they want to see what is happening on the field, and also those who are watching.
The other thing is there was no reports of crowd trouble at all, because that's the one thing that puts people up, you know, off of going to watch the matches.
Yeah, you know, that I think the fans said that there are two things that keeps them off. One is the violence, and two is the poor standard of football. Courtesy, well, one of the reasons, of course, is because of TV. TV is easily available to everyone, and we are all watching those Premier Leagues and whatever's, and we feel that that is not enough.
But that doesn't affect the standards.
But I like that there was that turnout. Now, what I think FKF should do to encourage all, you know, all matches, not just the derby, is to hype up these matches. You saw the other day how boxing was hyped up. Even people who knew nothing about boxing, when they had Madonga was here, you know, that hype. We need to create that hype around.
No, the thing is that there's been a loss of credibility in Kenyan soccer. We must say that without any fear of favor. There's been a loss of credibility, and so people are not going to the stadium.
Yes.
So this is actually a show of confidence in the fact that football can still go on. The good thing is it is coming from the people themselves. It's not coming from FKF. It's not coming from the club. It's from the fans themselves.
Yeah, and it brings to me, Bernard, you know, when people always say football is played by gentlemen and then watched by hooligans, you know, but basically that is what people say. When it comes to golf, watched by gentlemen, played by gentlemen. And
what about rugby?
You know, the fans.
What about rugby? They say it's a rough sport.
Yeah, I mean, played by
those are just descriptions,
you know, those are
of the game,
things. But the question is that, you know, when you have the two Titans, as I said earlier, and there is no fracas at all, despite the fact that it was 0-0, but there was nothing. You know, it shows the maturity that this country has gone in football, Bernard.
I totally agree. And congratulations to the two sides, the fans themselves as well, and also to the center referee, Josephine Walukisho, for what she did at the match. Let's move on now into the second story, and this is the FKF results. Now that everything went well in the Mashemeji derby, we've got to look at the results as well. There are a couple of matches that were played over the weekend, but also in the midweek, there were some matches. Can we have those results, don't we?
Yes. Yesterday, there were 3 matches played. We had Wazito going down 0-3 to Talanta. We had AFC Leopards coming off that 0-0 draw with Gor, beating Vihiga United 1-0. And then Police, on top of their celebrations, remember I was telling you the Sacco is celebrating something? They beat Madara United 5-0. And Police, over the weekend, had beaten Tusker 3-0. Scored 8 goals in 2 matches.
I was reading some of the funny comments that were being made about the police taking charge and arresting the drunkards, well, in reference to Police versus Tusker. And then the other one was saying it seems like the slum boys are so afraid of the police as well. They let 5 go through. But the police are blowing hot and cold, sometimes doing well, sometimes not doing well.
But remember, you know, Bernard, you know, we mentioned this last week that the police are actually picking at the moment. You know, if you see their play, they have majority of their players are on top form, and that is why, you know, you see the performance that you are able to see there. And you know, again, it brings a lot of interest. Remember, again, still Zoya is still doping the league. However, Gor is still picking, because remember that, you know, they have 13 matches for Gor, and then
they had a match in hand which they were using. So they drew with the FC Leopards. Wednesday, Madara United was beaten. Nazito was also beaten by Talanta. Leopards beat Vihiga United. The sad story about Vihiga United is it was circulating in social media. They didn't have money to go back to Vihiga. Now that was very sad, that they didn't have transport back to Vihiga. If I knew that, and I know that you are traveling at some point, you probably would have given 5 of them a lift up to somewhere, you know. So that's a sad story which they have to take care of. But those were the results of the week. We'll wait for what is happening over the weekend. As the matches were being played as well, the match fixing scar